नमस्ते मेरो नाम चाहिँ मणिराज राई हो म चाहिँ एक्स मिलिट्री सब 22 years
Namaste, my name is Netra Thapa Bura. I'm ex-British Army. I joined the Army 1990 and I retired from British Army 2005. Since I retired from British Army, I live in Sandhurst and I'm Vice Chairman of Sandhurst Nepali Committee.
नमस्कार म बेल बुढाथोकी स्यान्डर्समा बस्छु म एक्स आर्मी हो ब्रिटिस आर्मी 11 मे 1981 मा म पोखरामा भर्ती भएर म चाहिँ 1995 मा म ब्रिटिश आर्मीबाट रिटायर भएको हो
Namaskar, I'm Kumar Limbu, current chairman of this committee. I'm eastern part of the Nepal. I have joined the British Army in 1989, 17 years in the army. I retired in January 2006. I am married to a beautiful wife, Padma Limbu. Moved to Sandhurst in 2004, now nearly over 18 years.
म चाहिँ मैया लिम्बू नेपाल धरानमा पहिला बस्थे बुढो चाहिँ आर्मी हो म 2002 मा आए अनि त्यसपछि 2003 मा चाहिँ 3 मा फेरि बुढ्नै गए बुढोको पोस्टिङ भएर त्यसपछि ब्याक टु नेपाल अनि त्यसपछि पछाडी 2005 को एन्डमा आए त्यसपछि यताको यतै अनि आर्मीबाट रिटायर हुनुभयो त्यहाँदेखि यहीँनिर सेन्डर्समै घर किनेर अहिले हामी चाहिँ बसेको चाहिँ 2013 देखि
I'm Ronald Yakthungba. In 3 years that I'm here, I moved from Hong Kong.
It was very tough, honestly. I can't lie to myself. I have been through so much.
Namaste, I'm Durga Ramjali, Sandhurst Niwasi. I've been here for 16 years. I joined the British Army in 1981. It's been almost 41 years. We are celebrating our 41st anniversary this year. Having spent 26 years in the British Army, I sort of came out of the army in 2007. In terms of my family, I have son, daughters. They all both are married and currently living with me. My wife, unfortunately, I lost her in 2020 because of the breast cancer. I also have 2 grandchildren that I play with all the time. They keep me busy. In terms of my career, once I came out of the army, I was passionate about the computing whilst I was in the army. So did all the necessary courses and stuff like that. Then I started my new career as IT engineers. Currently, I'm doing a cybersecurity consultant purely. So it suits me at the moment. I enjoyed my 26 years of career in the British Army. Traveled the majority of the world, part of the world. Operationally, I was deployed in Afghanistan twice. I even went back in Afghanistan as a civilian consultant, doing the IT job in Bosnia, operation tour again, Kosovo, when the war was about to happen in 1999. I'm going to be missing so many my colleagues or friends from the army. But luckily, the Gurkhas have a kind of like this tight environment, so we get to see each other all the time. Current life, yes, luckily I'm sort of one of those fortunate persons. Job-wise is kind of like working from home. I got my children, son and daughter, and I got 2 grandsons just making noises in the house, running around, and I play golf whenever I get time. So yeah, I'm enjoying myself. And I couldn't go back to Nepal because my children were here. I would rather like to go back to Nepal, spend some time, explore the country, but children are here, they've been brought up here, they are British citizens, and I got 2 grandsons here, and I need to be around them. That's the reason. But I'm in terms of everything health services wise, couldn't be any happier with the health services here. Hopefully, I'm just going to be still enjoying my future career here, as long as I can. When I was in the army, I was kind of passionate about the computing. 1980s when I was actually joined in the army. So since then I was kind of interested in computing. So whenever I had time off from my work whilst in the military, I always used that time for learning something about the computing. And before I came out of the army pays for whatever we want to do in terms of getting skills in the civil, so that we can apply that, doing all the computer courses, certifications. I had quite a lot of certifications. And I was kind of ready for just a stepping stepping sort of like a first step for in the computing world in the civil state. And when I came out, because I had already security cleared, vetted, it was quite easy for me to get a first job as an IT engineer within the MOD project. So that's where I started my first civilian job as an IT engineer. So I was lucky to be there, and it was not easy. It took some time to get used to it, Then I wanted some sort of challenge. Luckily, I got this contract in Afghanistan as a civilian consultant, as a IT help desk manager. So I spent 2 years in Afghanistan NATO headquarters for 2 years doing IT job, stuff like that, and that's where I really learn about the actual computing skills. I came back after 2 years. I came back, and then I was still kind of thinking of myself. It would be better for me to be in a cyber security because of my background. Started as a contractor for Common Home Office and Foreign and Commonwealth Office. Carried on doing the sort of same contracting roles. Number of IT security roles in and around sort of this corridor, M4 and M3. Yeah, so obviously for the various reasons, I can't actually name the company name. 4 or 5 years I spent doing a contracting roles. So a 6 months contract, 1 year contract. One of the contract in Belgium as well, for the NATO contract. Pretty much I was doing in a security cleared cyber security roles. That's how it started. For the last 5 years, I'm working with a UK company, which is the global company. So it's completely different world. I spent last 26 years, more closely physically working, with colleagues, friends, learning about how to kill the enemy, and how to sort of defend yourself or your country. Now in the cyberspace, more is like keeping an eyes open and monitoring. It's a static job. You have to be really sort of concentrate yourself to, see any anomalies, events happening for the particular organizations that you are actually responsible for. For my age, because when you are young, you don't want to be static. You want to go out and about doing all the challenging, adventurous things. But because when I started my roles, CV career, I was almost 46, 47 years old. So I would rather like to be sit back at a desk and just keep my eyes open, 5 eyes, senses are, open. So it's working fine. I'm used to it now. Sometimes you find yourself on your own, just there is a flexibility of yourself, but again, sometimes you feel on your own. It's difficult for you to, when some problems happens, then it's difficult to actually find the right person. But as I said, because of my age, I would rather like to be sit back and just kind of like, use your mind to, do whatever you want to do. So it's working fine for me. Because one thing being in an army is you want to keep yourself fit. You want to be conscious about your health. So when I was actually, kind of moved into this static roles, I was still conscious about, about my health. So whenever I get a time, I still used to go to the gym, just to run around. Nothing has much changed actually for me because I'm still conscious about my health, what to eat, when you need to make your body move, move. Health-wise, I'm pretty good at the moment. Yeah, you have to be health should be a priority for you. Healthy eating, healthy keep your bodies move all the time whenever you can, and also just think about your health really. If you remember that health is your top priority in your life, then no matter whatever job what you are doing it, you can still keep your health up to the level. So. It just has to be at the health conscious. I have customer all over the world. I just think that am I that good? Well, I'm doing a job, and and I'm getting paid for that, so I must be doing good. I just followed my passion. My passion was something that I didn't want to deviate from this line, and. Captain tried hard. It was not easy. I'm quite happy for where am I, what I achieved in my life, what I got at the moment. In terms of, I spent that many years successfully in the army and got into the rank of captain, which is quite reputable in the British Army. After that, I thought I might not be able to do any job in the civil state because I'm nearly 50 now. And now I look back, yeah, I've done it. Yeah, so I achieved whatever I wanted to achieve. Thinking of stopping there now. I mean, that's it. I want to relax back and.
स्यान्डर्स नेपालिज कम्युनिटीमा म पहिला यस कम्युनिटीको म चेयरम्यान हो। म 7 वर्ष गरेँ 2008 to 14-15 सम्म र थ्याङ्क यू फर तपाईहरु डु इट फर द कल्चर ग्रुपले मलाई आज यहाँ बोलाएर मेरो विषयमा केही भन्ने मौका दिनुभएकोमा तपाईहरु सम्पूर्ण टिमलाई साथै अहिलेको प्रेसिडेन्ट स्यान्डर्स नेपालिज कम्युनिटीको चेयरम्यान राम भाइ लगायत सम्पूर्ण यस स्यान्डर्स नेपालिज कम्युनिटीको मित्रहरूलाई म धन्यवाद ज्ञापन गर्न चाहन्छु। धन्यवाद।
सुरुमा जोइन 1991 मा मोस्ट अफ टाइम आई स्टप इन युके अनि आफ्टर द्याट ब्रुनाई युके त्यसै भयो। आई रिटायर्ड इन 13 May 2013। आफ्टर द्याट आई गट माई न्यू जब द्याट्स वर्क्स विथ द बिटी। त्यो चाहिँ अब मान्छेको टेलिफोन बोर्ड भनेर फिक्स गर्ने। सेटल हुनुलाई मैले त्यति स्ट्रगलिङ गर्नु परेन अनेस्टली। मेरो नेपाल चाहिँ इलाम भन्छ।
I came from the western part of Nepal, which district is Palpa. Since I joined the British Army, I went to Hong Kong 1990. Then I joined 6th year. After 18 months, went to another regiment, 7th year. Then finally, I served in Royal Military Academy, Sandhurst. So I retired in 2005. I came to UK in 2000. So since 2000, I am living and working currently in Sandhurst.
I was born in Hong Kong. After that, I grew up there for like few years. After that, I went back to Nepal for my further study. And again, I went back to Hong Kong for my career. I worked in hospitality for so long in there, 22 years, something like that. In between, we came up with, something that, okay, we should go somewhere now so then we can have more family time. And it was indeed UK. That was a good choice. And we had that privilege that to come to UK. And we decided to come here. And it was a great, great idea that we chose to come to UK. And we are very, very happy so far. Because of my kids' career, study, education, and also for ourselves, because in Hong Kong, I love Hong Kong, but at the same time, in Hong Kong, you have to work more hours. You hardly get chance to see your family members, So in UK, at least you have more spare time to spend with your family members. And that was the factor. Work is work, right? But then at the same time, I must say that here is more easy. Your life is much easier. I'm not saying bad about Hong Kong, but at the same time, I must say that working here in the UK is more relaxed, more holidays. That makes you feel very close to your family all the time. So you have more time to spend with family here in the UK. My son is in year 11. My daughter is in uni. They can do whatever they want, right? They achieve their goal though. Back in Nepal, it's very difficult to, get all the benefits that we require, we want, or we need. In Hong Kong, of course, the developed country, and you can get all the benefits there. But at the same time, you have to spend for that. It's more like private, right? But in the UK, everything is provided, Everything is organized. Everything is like human rights, NHS ko suvida, facilitiesहरुले चाहिँ सबैजनालाई साथ दिइरहेछ. Pretty happy for that. Fortunately, अहिलेसम्म त म बिमारी त भएको छैन, but then म अहिले पहिला डाक्टरसँग मेरो नाम दर्ता त भयो, registered हैन, and GP in 2019 when I was registered there. After that, I've never been to GP and never been to hospital as well. Having said that, I do check up my blood pressure and sugar, diabetes and all, because just to make sure that I'm fine. By the grace of God, I'm very healthy. Of course, like we are human beings, right? We get sick sometimes. Like normal flu, this and that happens to everyone. That is normal thing in our life. Everybody's fine so far, and my in-laws are living with me. They are quite old, but then my mother-in-law is very weak. She doesn't eat properly. So in that case, I have to take her to the GP or sometimes hospital. And the service we're getting so far is fantastic. I'm so happy because I don't go quite often, but then whenever I go to get the service from them, it's always satisfactory. It's all good. Yeah, very happy with it. She has hay fever, but then besides that, she doesn't have any serious illness. Otherwise, all good. My daughter is, I forgot to mention that. I forgot to tell that my daughter is fitness freak. She is the one in in our house. She's always there when it comes to health. She does exercise, she does yoga, she eats healthy food. Yeah, and then she always tells me to be healthy like her. which I'm trying to be. 2019, I was literally very fit and I was like fitness freak as well. But then I didn't go to the gym and all, but then I always used to run. Every time, like say after work, when I come back home, I always used to run. A lockdown thing, you know, that thing changed my life a bit, which I have to correct it. I have to make up. I must do some exercises so then I can be like before. But I can be more focused on it. And my wife is always nagging about it. So I have to listen to her, otherwise she will kill me. She'll throw me out from the house. We don't have major problems so far, and then we wish that will be त्यस्तै भइराखोस्. त्यस्तो त हामीलाई असरै गर्दैन किनभने we are just happy family. हामी एकदमै we are oriented to our family हैन एकदमै family oriented people हामी अनि रमाइलो गर्छौं. मेन्टली चाहिँ हामी डिस्टर्बै हुन पाउँदैन के किनभने काममा जान्छ काममा I've got very good relationship with my work colleagues हैन. I enjoy my job. I love my job. At the same time, I love my family, and then I'm just like balancing my family and my job accordingly. So I'm very happy. Mentally stressed हुने त चान्सै छैन अहिलेसम्म चाहिँ so far है. But I have heard about it, like people having problems, त्यो language barrier भएर यताउति भएर भएको कुराहरू चाहिँ म सुन्छु. But then मसँग चाहिँ केही पनि भएको छैन अहिलेसम्म किनभने I don't know because अब हामी म त्यस्तो खालको सोच्दा पनि सोच्दिनँ त्यो खालको मैले फेस पनि गर्नु परेको छैन. But then I have heard about it that people are facing lots of हुन्छ नि बुढापाकाहरूलाई अलिकति प्रब्लमहरू आउने त्यस्तो खालकोहरू हुन्छ भने सुनेको छु मैले तर खासै मैसँग चाहिँ अहिलेसम्म चाहिँ भएको छैन. अब यो एजमा आएर भन्दाखेरि अब तपाईको when you have growing up your kids हैन किड्स त्यतिखेर चाहिँ उनीहरुको एजुकेसन हेल्थ इश्यूजहरुको लागि सब जति पनि बेनिफिट्सहरु पाउने यस्तोको लागि चाहिँ UK is the best. This is perfect. So I made right decision in right time. Being here in the UK at the moment is good. किनभने most important part भनेको लाइफमा two things के health and education, and most importantly for new generation like you guys, education. UK is very popular for education को लागि त यहाँनेर because everybody knows that UK is the best for education. अनि त्यो हुँदा हुँदै अब यो environment, you know, you cannot drink and drive. There is some restrictions के त हुन्छ नि लले प्रोवाइड गरेको. When you follow this and you तपाईको हुन्छ नि you are disciplined के this is how I mean education र health दुईटा राम्रो भयो भने त what else you need. तपाईको education राम्रो भयो भने you can get very good job and तपाईको career राम्रो हुन्छ. Health राम्रो भयो भने that will support you to work. Health and education, two things, key factor. But then if you work like हुन्छ नि donkey goru, like all the time you have no time to spend with your family and then you are just like pressurizing yourself to your body too much, that will hamper your health. काम गरौँ अलिक ज्यादा पनि नगरौँ ठिक आफुलाई हुन्छ नि आफ्नो हेल्थले पनि गर्न सक्ने अनि सर्भाइभ पनि हुने मिल्ने गरेर गरेको राम्रो. आफुलाई मेन्टली र फिजिकली ज्यादा डिस्टर्ब नगरौँ भन्नुको लागि चाहिँ UK is the best place. मैले सोच्दाखेरि चाहिँ I believe so. मेरो point of view, मेरो opinionमा चाहिँ त्यस्तो लागिरहेछ मलाई अहिले after spending long time in Hong Kong है. I am a member of group chat for Sandhurst community, Nepalese community हैन. I'm always updated what is happening हैन. I know pretty much everyone from that community. तर अब especially हाम्रो Sandhurst को लागि भन्नु पर्दाखेरि चाहिँ अघि मैले भने जस्तै we all are like हुन्छ नि we have a community members हैन सबैजना जोइन हुनु पर्यो त्यहाँदेखि and then new मान्छे जति पनि नयाँ मान्छेहरु अब Sandhurst मा आउँछन् नि उनीहरुलाई पनि अवेयर गराउनु पर्यो अनि उनीहरुलाई पनि समावेश गर्नु पर्यो अनि त्यहाँदेखि अब जति पनि भइरहेको कुरा यताउति अपडेट्सहरु उनीहरुलाई दिनु पर्यो अनि कुनै मान्छेहरु बाधा अडचनमा छन् like they are just if they are facing any troubles or like हुन्छ नि problems then of course अलिकति जाने बुझेको young generation plus हाम्रो जति पनि सिनियर दाइहरु हुनुहुन्छ दिदीहरु हुनुहुन्छ उहाँहरुले obviously उनीहरुलाई सपोर्ट गर्नु पर्यो किनभने हामी जस्तै बुझ्ने र जान्ने सबै हुँदैन नि त. कति मान्छेहरु नेपालीहरु like अब they have like language barrier, कति मान्छेहरुलाई भर्खर आएको हुन्छ, they need guidance and also they need support हैन. In that case if you see someone in need or like they are asking for help then we being हुन्छ नि अब हामी अलिकति बुझेको जानेको हिसाबले सबैजना इन्भल्भ हुनु पर्यो अनि नयाँ जेनेरेसन नयाँ बच्चाहरुलाई पनि अब तपाईहरु अब टिनेज हैन अब त अलिकति म्याच्योर भइसक्यो नि त 20 प्लस भयो नि त हैन अनि तपाईहरुलाई यो जानकारी छ तर अब आउँदो जेनेरेसनलाई पनि अब एकदमै यङ एजमा छ हैन but then 14 15 मा त they don't know what they are doing हैन but then अलिकति म्याच्योर हुँदै गएपछि we should invite them or like say गाइड देम टु हुन्छ नि अब हामीले चाहिँ नेपाली कल्चर यस्तो हुन्छ नेपाली ट्रेडिसनल कम्युनिटी यस्तो हुन्छ भनेर उनीहरूलाई पनि जानकार गराउनुपर्छ त्यो गरायो भने चाहिँ अब हामी एकदमै मजाले एसोसिएट हुनसक्छ एकअर्कासँग अनि एकअर्कासँग कुराहरू सेयर गर्न सक्छ नेपालीको विषयमा उनीहरूले जानकार पाउँछ होइन हाउ दे आर लिभिङ इन युके भन्ने कुराहरू सबै पाउँछ हो यसरी नै अब नेपालीले चाहिँ नेपालीलाई चाहिँ हेल्प गर्दै जानु पर्यो सपोर्ट गर्दै चाहिँ गाइड गर्दै जानु पर्यो त्यही भएर चाहिँ एकदम द्याट विल बी भेरी हेल्पफुल फर अल अफ अस
मेरो नाम प्रसिम गुरुङ हो and I'm 21 this year.
मेरो नाम Seesun Gurung ho. I go to uni and I study accounting. On the weekends, I just work my part-time job.
My name is Saiyoni, right? My passion is just in the creative field, like fashion, the arts.
मेरो नाम Rupak ho. I'm 15 years old and I'm in year 10 and I like to game and also play some sports.
I'm a uni student. I'm studying civil engineering right now, first year. Not as easy as I expected because everyone's been saying first year is pretty easy, but I found out it's not really. काम नहीं करछु Saturday Sunday.
I'm finding it alright. It's not too hard. I'm in second year right now. It's not too difficult. It's still quite challenging, but it hasn't got that bad yet. There's a lot more work than you'd think, especially when I was at college and I thought uni wouldn't be as bad because college, the work wasn't too bad. But obviously, when I went to uni, the workload is a lot bigger. So that was really challenging at first. But I'm enjoying my subject right now.
I don't think there's a lot of Nepalese people in general going out in the creative works. So like, obviously Nepalese parents can't see that like, oh wow, you can actually make money out of this, you know? And the safe route is being in the medical industry or like being in just like engineering, things like that. When it comes to the arts or anything like creative based, I do tend to think that Nepalese people are a bit scared in a way to like, you know, like be more open to their children doing things like the art because it's considered like you can't make money out of it in a way.
I'm Nehal Lama Tamang. I'm 20 years old. I've lived in Sandhurst for about 13 years now and I'm currently at university in my second year taking biomedical sciences. It's not the easiest, but you know, it's a choice that I've made. It's stressful at times, but you know, that's part and parcel of like any sort of university or like higher education course that you would take. So, you know, it's to be expected. Something that I didn't foresee, you know, with the whole virtual learning thing in first year, like everything was online aside from practicals, thankfully. But that had a bigger impact on my lifestyle and my mental health than I predicted. In university with other people in a virtual environment, not physically in the place with you, it sort of put me in a different mindset. I ended up taking it a bit more casually than I should have. And then it felt like I wasn't really doing myself a good enough job, and that kind of weighed down on me when I realized like, oh damn, I've got to this point, I haven't really done as much as I expected. That kind of just sort of made me rethink a lot of stuff about myself, and then I realized, you know, this is something that I need to address, you know, for the better of myself. But you know, it's not really something that I really stopped to think about as much, you know, while I was in like secondary school and college. But, you know, I guess it was only like when I reached that sort of tipping point, if you will, that I realized this is something that I need to sort of take control of. It goes back to, I want to say like GCSEs level, so around year 10, year 11, is when I had like procrastination issues. And then I found sort of it got progressively more severe, I guess. And then that sort of, you know, came to a head at university, and then I realized, wow, this is too much. I need to get a hold of myself. And you know, I'm still working on it now. I'm not completely out of the woods yet. It's an ongoing process, and I've been very lucky to have support from not only the university but from other external sources to sort of help me get myself together, put me on the right track towards where I need to go. I guess the main one that comes to mind is the counselling service that was offered by the university. It was called Student Wellbeing, and through that I sort of put in a self-referral form for counselling where they offered me like 6 appointments across 6 weeks, so like once a week, and that was really helpful in me sort of coming to terms with what I felt what was wrong with me, I guess. It feels a bit strange to put it that way because it's kind of a negative way to look at it, but it helped me sort of come to terms with those issues and have some semblance of an idea of how to get over them or how to deal with them, I guess. Some parts of advice have been more helpful than others. On the whole, I think it has been like very beneficial, and that's sort of helped me to get my voice out to other people in terms of actually asking for help. Another resource that I used was helplines. So, you know, things like Samaritans. There's one called CALM, Campaign Against Living Miserably, I believe. Those have been helpful as well, though it's not counselling or therapy per se, they have been very useful in the short term when I've been feeling like more extreme amounts of distress. It's very helpful to have someone to talk to, because I feel like even though we're almost like socially connected and stuff, people still find it difficult to come out about their feelings to one another, even if it's someone that they feel that they're close to, you know, like friends and family and stuff. We tend to just keep everything inside, you know? The idea behind procrastination is that like there is some sort of underlying mental block, I guess, that prevents you from getting from point A to point B in terms of what you need to do. Some people cite it as anxiety or stress or just a reluctance to face your issues because of some sort of underlying issue. And part of the help that counselling provided was sort of starting to identify what those issues might be or what those roadblocks might be for why I might be procrastinating. But for the longest time, I just kind of wrote it off as like, oh, you know, I'm just doing it because I don't feel like it, or I'm just being lazy, you know, I should... Basically telling myself I need to try harder, rather than thinking, you know, maybe there is some sort of issue here that needs to be worked out. You know, normally I'm a very introverted person. I can be sociable at times, but for the most part I just kind of, you know, keep to myself. In turn, I just kind of stay in my own head to an extent. Venting is all well and good, but there's a very fine line between venting, talking about your issues with somebody, and self-pity, just like wallowing in your own issues, saying, I'm so sad, I don't know what to do, and then just kind of wanting to stay in that position. And sometimes I'm not sure where to draw that line. I find it easier to just sort of keep it to myself, or to speak with someone that maybe I'm not familiar with. I don't feel it's a product of my upbringing. You know, my parents have been very great. They're always like, you know, if you want to talk about anything, then, you know, let us know. They've been very great like that. You know, I have taken them up on that on occasion. Because I find it difficult to open up to people in general, my parents kind of come under that. I had looked up like local helplines or helplines for like certain issues that I might be facing, if there was one for like a specific issue or if it was just a general helpline. But for some others, so for example Samaritans, I found that I've known about it for a while actually. I think the first time, and this is actually really smart advertising, the first time I saw an advertisement for Samaritans was at a train station. It was just like a little cardboard sign saying, you know, I need help, call this number. That was the first time I saw it, and you know, from there I've seen it pop up on occasion around college poster boards, you know, advocating for mental health, on our uni's website for student well-being, and even when I was coming home today, I was taking the trains and I saw a lot more bigger Samaritans advertisement. So I think it's really good that, you know, especially for helplines like that, that help people, not just young people, but anybody who may be dealing with like a personal issue that feels like they need someone to talk to or someone else that they need to talk to. It's really good that they're sort of getting their name out there. I can't speak on my family's behalf because, you know, I have been living away from home. But, you know, because my brother is in primary school, he has been having like, you know, regular PE lessons. My mum walks to work, NHS supports it. I can't speak on it too much because I haven't had to use it for that, thankfully. I'm a very cautious person, so, you know, I don't really sustain very severe injuries. Aside from, you know, long wait times, I haven't heard anything negative about the service as a whole.
I don't know that much about them, but like, I just know the general thing, which is like, you can be like, oh, if you have a problem, you go to them and stuff, in terms of illness as well. Yeah, it's like a health organization, like that's free, but then paid by tax as well. For my homework and stuff, everything's fine. I'm getting set an alright amount. It's not too much, not too little. I do like PE a lot. It's very fun. You get to go out with your friends and like do sports and stuff. And yeah, it's quite enjoyable. I think it's very important as well, just to keep fit. I do some clubs at school, some like physical clubs at school. I usually go running like in the mornings. I go by myself, but then it's only like a short, maybe 20-minute run. I think my diet is pretty good in a Nepali household, and like exercise is also quite good. I think that in the community, there are also like lots of people that like think exercise is good as well, like really important for their children and their well-being and stuff. Like especially since like in this day and age, there's more like technology and like sitting indoors. My dad's quite passionate about exercise. He likes it when I like, you know, go out to run and stuff. Definitely positive influence. It's like helped me out in my life as well. I do tend to have like the typical like Nepali food, like rice, dal, masu, and that. It tastes quite good, you know, it fills me up. I also have some pasta sometimes as well. It's a nice change from the rice and stuff. Usually like if I'm sick or have a problem, then my dad's the one who calls them up and like tells them about it, and he books an appointment with them. He usually complains quite a lot about saying it's it's quite irritating because they keep telling you to call later, and then when you call later, they tell you to call later again and stuff.
When I first told my parents I wanted to be in the creative industry, obviously they were like worried, but they just told my business to like other family members as well. And then because of their opinions of the family members, they get influenced more. And then, you know, constantly when you're living with people like that, giving you that kind of energy and telling you like you can't make it, or like this isn't like the right path basically, and this is the right path. Like it's so like narrow-minded in a way, you know. They think that there's only one successful path that you can take, and I just it was really damaging and harmful in that aspect, like mentally. At a young age, we're taught to suppress our feelings and taught to just carry on. This isn't like nothing. This isn't nothing, and like living with people that have gone through way worse things, right? And then they obviously put it onto you and say, your problems aren't that serious compared to what I've been through. Obviously, you don't want to speak out because you're like, oh, am I being like a spoiled brat? You know, in a way, am I being sensitive? Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah, so like that's why I tend to like close off my emotions or feelings and not like look for help in a way, which is bad.
Because my parents always emphasize like fitness, so they wouldn't mind me like going out for like runs or like gym any time of the day, be it like 10 a.m. at 10 p.m. Mobiana Rati. As long as they know that I'm working out for my health, they wouldn't mind. I'm 21, so yeah, adult age so suru bhaisakyo, so they kind of like less strict now with how I spend my time. So they kind of trust me with like going out. Nepali diet usually हामीले खाने चाहिँ दाल भात मासु हैन, but then that's something you can't really like track the calories because you don't really know what your mom's putting in, because आमाले usually बनाउँछ कि बाबाहरुले, it's not usually the kids most times. So मलाई थाहा छैन के हाल्छ, मिठै हुन्छ लास्टमा. Depending if you're bulking or cutting, you need to know like what you're eating sometimes. खोइ फ्रिजमा के नि हुँदैन के रे, but बनाइहाल्छ something. So I'm just like how? But then I try to only like sometime momle banaeko kura, but most of the times I usually make my own food, like chicken breasts or like just the healthy stuff without धेरै oily stuff. I tend to like cut down fast food oily because summer andesa, so I need to try to get 6 packs, maybe hopefully. I just follow the plan called push pull legs, and I've got a gym partner, Daiga namte Saga Dai. Bazi boju I see a lot of them हिँड्दै जान्छ like यहाँ वरिपरि. So that's one really good thing. Like बिहान I don't know how they wake up 5 a.m. in the morning and हिँड्छ. त्यो health wise them going on like morning walks is really good. Teenage हाम्रो एजको मान्छेहरु I've seen a lot of people starting to get into fitness, so that's one really good thing. Prioritizing health everyone should start working out in some ways. Like it doesn't have to be a lifestyle. But as long as people are being active, like walking garini, going on hikes or like exercising sports, I think that's pretty good enough. A hotline for like them to straight away communicate with someone who can speak Nepalese, Hindi NHS, that'd be pretty easy for them. I think there's a radio based in UK for the Nepalese. Maybe if they could like promote it more from there, because not even Bazi, like adults, they usually listen radios frequently, whereas for younger kids, younger generations, for us, a good way to get us into it would be maybe like show us like the benefits of what it can do. Honestly, I'd say it's just getting influence from my Sati. So like I just spread out personally, more people like, or like maybe if I was to post something online on like my social medias, make it seem like it's fun, it'll get them engaged. Like, oh, maybe I want to try this out. That's how I would think. That's how you do it.
Can get physically stressful because obviously I talked about the deadlines, and the deadlines, there'll be multiple times where I'll have to do like several all-nighters, like really late night like study sessions just to get my work done in time, where like I'll be working from like middle of the day until like 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning. Usually because of the workload, I don't have enough sleep, so that would probably be the biggest stress physically. Obviously lack of sleep is not the best thing for your mental well-being, so it definitely does take a toll. For me, it's just talking to my friends really, because I feel like when I talk to my friends, just hanging out, I just naturally just have a good time, and I just forget about like stress and about uni work, just even work. So just hang out with my friends, just going maybe, I don't know, dinner, have a party, or just things like that really help take off the stress. Me as a person, I try not to talk about my feelings as much. I guess because of the way life works, I try to keep it inside. Talking to someone on a hotline about, I guess, how I'm feeling just doesn't feel too comfortable. And I guess you're just expected to have a strong mental and keep your emotions side and like be always positive. It can be quite hard to open up and really be vulnerable. Because I feel with Nepalese people in general, at least the older generation, they can be not as understanding, and it can be quite hard to get them to understand what's happening or how you're feeling. More than Nepalese people, I feel like as a teenager, mental health, it gets talked about a lot, but I feel like it doesn't get taken as seriously. So it doesn't seem as appealing just in general, because it's hard to just talk about and hard to really open up, if you get what I mean. I think you just have to talk to them. I feel like I got that. That's something I had to do. I just had to tell my parents and just talk to them and just let them understand, because obviously they're not used to this. It's something new to them, and obviously I don't expect them to get it away straight away. Obviously, like through time and just working hard and getting it slowly across to them, they'll slowly come around and start to understand.
Maybe I have like a personal hotline for like Nepalese, like Nepali bolne, because you know how Bazi was it's hard for them to speak English, so they'll need someone to translate for them. But then if there's a hotline for like them to straight away communicate with someone who can speak Nepalese in the NHS, that'd be pretty easy for them. Well, thankfully for my family is pretty open, so I've not yet experienced much pressure. But my cousins or like people I've known, everyone, like all their parents were like, "Hey, uni jane porcha. It's, or if not, you're not gonna succeed and stuff." So I've heard a lot of stuff like that, which depends on what you really want to do. So a degree is not really necessary for stability, from what I can see, like this generation, because I've never really been in contact with the NHS. I'm not exactly sure, but what I can think of if I'm ever sick would be just like call them, be like, "Oh yeah, I've got this problem," and then they'll like sort out an appointment for you. But then I'm not really sure for that appointment, is it gonna be like, will you get it within a few days, or is it gonna take you like weeks for that appointment? Personally, no, but I've seen my parents do it, and all I can see is like them calling the NHS and them going to the hospital. So I've never really seen the in-between bits of like any problems personally. More people like, or like maybe if I was to post something online on like my social medias, make it seem like it's fun, and it'll get them engaged. Like, oh, maybe I want to try this out. What young manchil they look for is what you can get out of it. So maybe if you can like put it in your CV, or like it helps you with your studies, and they'll be like more wanting to come for it. Then, because if let's say there's a program, and maybe it's something like teaching them how to use the technology or phone. Usually if I'll be like, I'll think about it.
Just the change of more just like Nepalese text-based things, just like a language option, just to change it on like websites and stuff, would make it a lot more accessible and like easier for like at least the older generation to read and stuff, understand. I think definitely because my dad also is a Gorkha, so I feel that mentality is definitely in my family. So it does make it hard, especially with like, obviously, because my parents came from Nepal and obviously they had to sacrifice a lot of things. So I guess they coming here, they expect a lot from me to make up for what they've given up. So I guess there's a lot of heavy expectations on my shoulders. The whole mindset and just the culture of like Nepalese people, it does make it hard to like open up, just have an understanding with your parents. And obviously I talked about the expectations, it does weigh heavy. And I really see a lot in my friends, because in my friend group, not many people like open up. We don't really talk about our feelings, but you can tell that like there's a lot going on. I feel like it definitely does need to be talked about more. I feel like as Nepalese people, when you're young, your parents, they're quite strict. You can't do as much. And I feel like and obviously the toxic mentality I talked about, it makes a lot of my friends, at least that I've seen, they always talk about when, before uni started, they were like, oh, I want to go uni, leave home so bad, so I can just get away from my parents. I heard that so much. Once they do go uni, they party a lot because they're like, now they feel that they have the freedom and they just do what they want. But it's definitely like the reward aspect. I feel that is the biggest motivation in like our generation, at least. Our generation is quite materialistic and they always want something in return. Incentive such as the CV, those definitely help most, I feel, as the biggest motivation for at least the younger generation.
I'd say for the younger generation, they seem alright, they seem quite fine, like with going online and maybe booking some appointments there. But for the older generation, who are not like as well understanding about technology and stuff, I think it'd be nice if there was like a couple more translators or so. Like maybe if there's a Nepali employee in the pharmacy, they could like come over to the till and help out the cashiers in translating and stuff. When you're trying to book an appointment online, you could like there's be more options for different like languages, say instead of just English, to like help out the people that aren't as fluent in like reading English. Personally, I think it's quite fine. I mean, I think I can't really think of any extra problems apart from the accessibility one and the language barrier. Big problem in schools is that they don't like stress the NHS and stuff about that as much as they probably should. They don't like say teach you about them and like stuff you can do to like help yourself in that. And it's like more of a, when you get older, you need to kind of understand it yourself. I think it's like that. A good way to try and encourage more young people to like help out, get like their parents, like get the parents aware of what's going to happen, what they need to do, like for volunteering, say, and then like tell their children. Also because like children like nowadays, they have like very close-knit friend groups. They like to do things that their friends are doing, and like if their friends are doing the same like volunteering stuff as them, they can think of it as like a day out of like having fun. And then when they think of it like that, they'll be more likely to like go out and help people in like the who are slightly older generations to like try and reach out to the younger people who are probably more capable in terms of like communicating with the staff and such, like to ask them for help, you know.
You know how like in schools people come in and talk about mental health issues? I think there should be like, you know how like there's Nepalese aunties and didis working in the field. Maybe they could come in and talk to like younger children as well, especially to like make it like, because at a young age, you don't really see much people represent, like people like us represent that kind of thing. So if like we saw like people come into schools, talk about that thing that look like us, maybe it'll be more like, we'll be able to open up more. Honestly, just the language barrier, more people, there are so many people out there that literally can't read or write. And also people with like anxiety like me, it's really hard to like talk about emotions and stuff. So I think more Nepalese people, if they like assigned us with like a Nepalese person that works in that department or in that GP or in that hospital, wherever the scenario is, I think they should assign them with that person. Just don't give a fuck what anyone says. Honestly, if you feel like you need help, go look for it, or like talk to a friend. Like honestly, like we need to speak more about these things in our communities so that we become more comfortable. Otherwise, it's just going to be buried deep. It goes deeper and deeper, you know, and people just don't want to talk about it. And I know a few people that literally take antidepressants, you know, like really like pills and shit to like help with their mental state. And it's like, because, you know, people don't talk about it. So I think the most is just keep talking.
Getting the services more known. Obviously they do exist, so that's already a really good thing. But I think it is just making it more known. I understand that NHS, you know, especially around like flu season, they will advertise people to get vaccinations and such. Especially around more like urban areas where there may be more, you know, like sites of education, so like schools, colleges, universities, what have you. Or even like around workplaces. I think it is good to have those sort of not signboards, but just like any form of advertising, and to sort of signal boost it through the companies or businesses. Businesses and communities, I think they're a really good way to get the message out there. I even heard from a friend that they have a specific clinic. Obviously, NHS have an addiction clinic that's been known for years, but what I learned about recently is that they have a clinic specifically designed for combating gaming addiction. I'm not too sure, and neither are they, about how good the service is, but the fact that it's there is great, but it almost felt buried. He had to look it up, see if there was, you know, a specific clinic or a specific company or a group to help with gaming addiction. So, you know, I think for the lesser known services that would help people, but that would be beneficial, especially in today's society, I think is very necessary to get its notoriety out. As an ethnic group, Nepali people, they obviously there are quite a lot of us nationally, but sometimes it does feel like we are a minority of a minority, if that makes sense. Obviously, there are a lot of Asians in the UK. It's a very ethnically diverse country, which I'm very grateful for. You know, on occasion it does feel like we are a smaller group. We are a very tight-knit community when there is a community, but you know, sometimes it does feel a bit disconnected, to say the least. I think a prime example of that is when I'm filling out like official documents and such, and it asks me to state my ethnicity. There's all these Asian categories such as British Indian, British Pakistani, British Arab. But for us Nepali people, we have to say like Asian other background. And I feel like that's a huge disservice to our community, because we've been, you know, there's been a Nepali community in this country for about 100, 200 years, and the amount of service that we've provided to this country and to societies is immeasurable. It may seem like a small thing, but to even be recognized on an official document it can mean a lot. So I think it is necessary for more engagement with our community. Obviously, it's great that they're slowly making an effort, I think, to engage or to bridge the gap between the British community and the Nepali community. I guess a main one would be Gorkha veterans finally getting equal pension. So that was a great step in the right direction. But sometimes people of Asian heritage are a bit dismissive of healthcare services. They tend to stick to more traditional medicines, such as, you know, like home remedies and such. And, you know, I'm not discrediting the healthcare service, and I'm not discrediting, you know, any home remedies that people may use. I'm sure they both have their uses. But I think for people to be less reluctant to rely on the healthcare services that we have in this country, which the fact that it is free is a great step. The NHS is a healthcare service, but it's a public service nonetheless. And I feel like some sort of campaign or some sort of public event, it doesn't necessarily have to be recreational, but some sort of awareness event can be a big help, even if it's just there to promote the fact that it is there, and just to, you know, sort of alleviate people's reservations that they might have about any access to the healthcare service or the healthcare service as a whole. Because I feel like some people are turned off, in a sense, from, you know, using the NHS because they're not sure how to access the right facilities.
म यहाँ आको 2012 सालमा आको यहाँ चाहिँ मेरो श्रीमती र म हामी बुढापाका पहिलाको अनपढहरू चाहिँ अलिकति ल्याङ्ग्वेजले धेरै समस्या भोग्नु पर्यो अरु चाहिँ त ठिकै नै छ भनौं यो मुख्य चाहिँ यही ल्याङ्ग्वेजकै समस्या छ त्यति बोल्नु पाएर आउँदैन त्यसले गर्दाखेरि अब अस्पतालमा भए जुनै एपोइन्टमेन्ट लिँदा भए एपोइन्टमेन्ट पाएर त्यहाँ अब अस्पताल जाँदा जीपी जाँदाखेरि अब एउटा बोल्ने मान्छे जान्ने मान्छे नलगिकन हामीहरू त्यसै एक्लै जानु सक्ने अवस्था छैन अहिलेसम्म चाहिँ अब साधारण दबाई फर्म भरेर अस्पतालमा बुझाउनु र फार्मेसीमा दबाई माग्नुसम्म चाहिँ मोटामोटी आफै गरिँदैछ तर त्यसमा के तलमाथि भयो भने फेरि हामीलाई समस्या पर्छ र फोन मार्फत जान्ने मान्छेलाई फोन गरेर फेरि उनीहरुसँग त्यो फोनमै कन्ट्याक्ट गरागर गरेर बात मार्नु लाउँछौं अनि हाम्रो समस्या समाधान गर्न लाउँछौं
त्यही यहाँ त एक्लै नै छु म अहिले अब उहाँ श्रीमान पनि हुनुहुन्न एक्लै हो
मेरो पनि म एक्लै हो यहाँ दुईटा नानीहरु छ नेपालमै है यहाँ चाहिँ एक्लै आको श्रीमान हुनुहुन्न
अरु सबै यहाँ ठिकै छ हाम्रो लागि अरु त के भन्नु र खुसी नै छौं हामी
हजुर ठिकै छ राम्रै छ आजसम्म त है हामीलाई बुढाबुढीलाई अब त्यस्तै हो बुढाबुढी भएपछि टाइम पास गर्ने अलिअलि हिड्ने डुल्ने घुम्ने त्यसरी नै गर्दै छौं राम्रै छ
यहाँ म आएको 2011 नोभेम्बर 5 त्यहाँबाट जोइन भएर गोर्खा इन्जिनियरमा गएँ पल्टन 16.5 वर्ष नोकरी गरेँ अनि त्यसपछि नोभेम्बरमा बेलायत आइयो जे होस् दबाई पानी दिएको छ अनि नेपाल भन्दा
केही राम्रै छ सुविधाहरू यहाँ जे होस् विकास भएको देश हुनाले सुविधा छ हामीलाई यतिको ठिकै छ खानपिन दिएको छ कतै कतै यात्रा गर्नु पर्यो भने पनि बस फ्री बस पास छ ठुलो अस्पताल जाँदा पनि ठिकै छ उनीहरूले कल गर्छ अथवा एपोइन्टमेन्ट दिन्छ तर यहाँ हाम्रो जिपीले चाहिँ दिँदैन खोज्दा पाइँदैन अरू तपाईहरुले मलाई यहाँ बोल्ने मौका दिनुभएकोमा धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद।
नमस्कार बाबु, आरामै छु हजुर, धन्यवाद। 2014 मा आएर यहाँ सेटल भएको हो। त्यति बेला चाहिँ हाम्रो यहाँ स्यान्डर्स स्कुलमा स्कुलिङहरू पनि बारीमा एक्टिभिटिजहरू खेतीपाती गर्ने यहाँ प्रबन्ध थियो अनि स्कुलबाट चाहिँ हामीलाई कहिलेकाहीँ बसमा भिजिट लाने जस्तै बोनमथ अनि लन्डनतिर एजुकेसनल भिजिटहरू पाइन्थ्यो। हप्तामा 3 दिन जस्तो हाम्रो यहाँ स्यान्डर्स स्कुलमै पढाइ हुन्थ्यो। त्यसपछि चाहिँ फन्डिङ सकेपछि स्टप भएपछि हाम्रो सबै कुरा बन्द भयो। म 1988 मा पेन्सन भएर त्यसपछि हाम्रो अपर्च्युनिटीहरू केही पनि थिएन नेपालमा। त्यसपछि फर्चुनेटली म ओमानमा सुल्तानेट अफ ओमानमा चाहिँ जागिर पाएँ। अलमोस्ट 21 इयर्स मैले त्यहाँ सर्भ गरेपछि म नेपाल 2010 मा फर्किएँ। त्यसपछि 2014 मा यहाँ मेरो छोरा आरएमए स्यान्डर्समा थियो, अहिले पनि सर्भिङ लाउरे नै हो। उसले भिजिटमा बोलाएको थियो बिकज अफ मेरो श्रीमती चाहिँ डायबिटिक्स पेसेन्ट भएर टाइप 2 उसलाई चाहिँ दबाई पानी गर्नुपर्ने भएको भएर उसले मलाई सजेस्ट गर्यो वाइ नट वी सेटल हियर बाबा आमाको लागि भनेर हामी 2014 जुलाईबाट चाहिँ यहाँ बसेको।
अनि अरू सबै अब राम्रै छ अहिलेसम्म। अब म पनि स्वस्थ नै छ है अहिलेसम्म। यस्तो अब औषधि पानी खानु परेको छैन। जिपीमा पनि जान त गएको छैन म, र पनि जिपीमा अब गइहाल्नु पर्दा चाहिँ हामीलाई चाहिँ नेपाली एकजना त्यहाँनिर चाहिँ चाहिन्छ नानी।
म चाहिँ अब सुगर र प्रेसरको पेसेन्ट हो। म चाहिँ अब आएकैदेखि नै दबाई युज गर्दैछु हो। उहाँले भन्नु भए चाहिँ हामीलाई अलिकति यो जिपी उसमा चाहिँ है फार्मेसीतिर चाहिँ अलिकति एकजना नेपाली भइदिए त सजिलो हुने थियो जस्तो लाग्छ हामीलाई चाहिँ।
सहायता गर्ने ओम भाइहरू हुनुहुन्छ, नैना दाईहरू हुनुहुन्छ होइन। अब हामीले भाषा नजानेकोमा उहाँहरूले लानुहुन्छ हस्पिटल अब उता काउन्सिलतिर।
अलिअलि पढेकोहरूलाई त अलिकति सजिलो नै हुन्छ है। अलिकति नजान्नेहरूको लागि चाहिँ केही होस् जस्तो लाग्छ, असुविधा छ उहाँहरूलाई अहिले है।
I can access online services but not very much. I am also a learner. Somehow I can manage. For myself, I have not tried that. To be honest, but maybe my other colleagues here who are in working categories, but not our senior citizens because they don't have any idea about online services.
मुख्य चाहिँ भाषा नै हो र अरू समस्याहरू पनि छ। जस्तो जिपीमा भनेको बेला यहाँ एपोइन्टमेन्ट पाइँदैन, निकै साह्रो गाह्रो नै परिराखेको हुन्छौँ तर इमर्जेन्सीमा पनि हतपत पाइँदैन। एपोइन्टमेन्ट माग्यो भने 10-12 दिन कुर्नुपर्छ। त्यति म बुझ्दिनँ, त्यति म चिन्दिनँ। त्यही जान्ने साथीहरूलाई चिठीहरू आए पनि उहाँहरूलाई नै देखाउने गरेको छु। केही पर्यो भने बोलिदिने, एपोइन्टमेन्ट लिइदिने सबै अरूकै माताहतबाट आजसम्म म चाहिँ काम चलाइराखेको छु। त्यही ठाउँमा इन्टरप्रिटर राखिदिएदेखि हामी नजान्नेहरूको लागि धेरै सुविधा हुन्थ्यो। म आफै पनि भोगिरहेको छु। कहिले कहिले अब समस्या कुरा बुझिँदैन, भनेको बेला त्यो अब बोलिदिने मान्छे पाइँदैन। त्यति बेला धेरै मानसिक चिन्ताहरू हुन्छ, झन् दिमागै खड्डा होला जस्तो हुन्छ। मुख्य चाहिँ यो दिदीबहिनीहरू त्यो श्रीमान बेगर आउनुहुन्छ नि, उहाँहरू चाहिँ झन् पागलै होला जस्तो हुन्छ। त्यो उनीहरू यहाँ आएर कुरा नबुझेर सोच्ने शक्ति घरिघरि त गुमाएको जस्तो हुन्छ। ठाउँमा नजान्नेहरूको लागि मद्दतकार राखिदिएदेखि हामीलाई धेरै राम्रो हुन्थ्यो।
मेरो लागि आफ्नो लागि चाहिँ त्यति गाह्रो छैन किनभने मैले कम्युनिकेसन गर्न सक्छु मोटामोटी अंग्रेजी म बोल्न सक्ने कारणले मलाई चाहिँ त्यति डिफिकल्टिज छैन वेरेज हाम्रो बुढाबुढीहरू छन् यहाँ स्यान्डर्स कम्युनिटीमा उहाँहरू जसले ल्याङ्ग्वेजको प्रब्लम छ उहाँहरूलाई चाहिँ एकदमै गाह्रो छ उहाँहरूले केही पनि जान्नुहुन्न दबाई माग्न पनि जान्नु हुँदैन एपोइन्टमेन्ट बुक गर्न पनि जान्नु हुँदैन त्यसको लागि चाहिँ सकेको सहयोग म र मेरो एकजना साथी हुनुहुन्छ नैना सुनवार उहाँ हामीले चाहिँ एपोइन्टमेन्ट बुक गरिदिने बोलिदिने जाने नजानेको दबाईहरू मागिदिने त्यो कामहरू चाहिँ हामीले गर्दैछौँ मैले पनि धेरै कठिनाइ भोग्नुपर्छ उहाँको कन्सेन्टहरू लिनु पर्यो कन्सेन्ट दिने मान्छेले पनि के भन्नुपर्ने के गर्नुपर्ने जान्नु हुँदैन त्यो मात्रै नभएर यहाँ अरू जस्तै हाउसिङ बेनिफिटहरू अरू बेनिफिटहरूको लागि पनि एप्लाई गरिदिनु पर्दाखेरि धेरै गाह्रो छ अनि किनभने हाम्रो बुढाबुढीहरू एक्स सर्भिसम्यानले एबिसी केही पनि नजानेर आएका छन् गाउँमा एक क ख नपढेर आएकाहरू पनि हुनुहुन्छ उहाँहरूलाई धेरै धेरै गाह्रो छ हाम्रो कम्युनिटीमा विशेष यहाँ स्यान्डर्समा चाहिँ हामीले धेरै अगाडिबाट माग गरेको इन्टरप्रिटर ट्रान्सलेटर उपलब्ध भएको छैन अझै पनि इन्जोयबल लाइफ इन्जोयबल गर्नु चाहिँ यहाँ मैले मेरो अनुभवमा चाहिँ जसलाई चाहिँ ल्याङ्ग्वेज प्रब्लम छैन उहाँहरूको लागि चाहिँ आई थिङ्क मेरो विचारमा राम्रै छ वेरेज जसले चाहिँ भाषा जान्दैनन् एबिसी के क ख नजान्नेहरूलाई एकदमै मिजरेबल छ यहाँ लाइफ मैले बुझे अनुसार मेरो आफ्नै मिसेस पनि गाउँमा नपढेको हुनाले मैले आई हेभ टु डु एभ्रिथिङ फर हर जस्तै कि दबाई मागिदिने दबाई पनि उसले डायबिटिज हो टाइप 2 डायबिटिज दबाईहरू मैले सबै छुट्याइदिनुपर्छ एभ्री डे अनि कहिलेकाहीँ उसले रङ मेडिसिन पनि खान्छ बिकज उसले जान्दैन है मेरो अनुभवमा यस्तो खालको सिचुएसन चाहिँ मेरो विचारमा मेरो वाइफलाई मात्र होइन सबैलाई यो धेरै समस्या छ मेरो विचारमा त जस्तै अब फान्ब्रो ओल्डर सर्टतिर हाम्रो नेपाली कम्युनिटिजहरू धेरै हुनुहुन्छ भान्जा भान्जीहरू उहाँहरूको भलिन्टरी एसिस्टेन्टहरू धेरै छ जस्तो लाग्छ वेरेज स्यान्डर्समा चाहिँ हामी त्यति धेरै पनि छैनौँ हाम्रो कम्युनिटीमा एकदमै गाह्रो छ त्यही हो मलाई चाहिँ सबभन्दा दुःख लाग्ने कुरा चाहिँ अनि मेरो आफ्नो विचारमा चाहिँ छोराछोरीहरूलाई पनि उनीहरूले यहाँ आएर काम गर्न सक्नु पर्यो मेरो सल्लाह सुझावमा कहिलेकाहीँ एजुकेसनल भिजिटहरू पनि हाम्रो मान्छेलाई लगेर देखाइदिने जनाइदिने काउन्सिलले भए अलिकति सिक्थे कि अनि त्यसमाथि सबभन्दा मैले बुझेको चाहिँ ल्याङ्ग्वेज प्रब्लमले गर्दा बुढाबुढीलाई धेरै गाह्रो छ त्यहीमा एप्लाई गर्नु जान्दैनन् उनीहरूले अहिले अनलाइनमा गर्न कसैले जान्दैन त्यो कुराहरू बुढाबुढीले त झन् फर माई सेल्फ आई हेभ नट ट्राइड द्याट to be honest. Maybe my other colleagues here who are in working categories, but not our senior citizens because they don't have any idea about online service. मेरो केही दुई शब्द केही पनि छैन तपाईहरुले आएर आज यत्रो प्रोग्राम गर्नुभयो दुःख गरिदिनु भयो जसको लागि धेरै धन्यवाद हाम्रो लागि गरिदिनु भएको त्यो आई नो हाम्रो आजको प्रोग्राम मिलाइदिने जुटाइदिने हाम्रो यहाँको चेयरम्यान रामकुमार लिम्बू उहाँको छोराछोरी अनि हजुरहरूले जो गरिदिनु भएछ त्यसको लागि वी आर भेरी ग्रेटफुल हजुर त्यही हजुर ल धन्यवाद ल थ्याङ्क यू हजुर